Like him, I killed in the name of good. But the violence of my life pulled my soul towards the darkness. But I fought and freed my soul. Now I watch for others like me. Men are the ones who create evil on Earth. It is the choices they make that enslave their souls to hell. This is the test.
Science fiction. We make no guarantees, however, how long it will remain fiction.
So, one thing that I think is real common is for people to kind of catch wind of this idea and to see how this might happen for some people, but then think, but I can't do that because I've got all these obligations. I've got all this debt, or I've got maybe, house payments. There's all these things that people think hold them back from getting free and changing their life. And in a lot of cases, you are going to have to deal with stuff like that. Not all debt, I think, are we obligated to pay off. That's somewhat controversial, but I think some debts are, they're sort of part of a larger scam that's being pulled on humanity, and I don't feel any guilt about just walking away from stuff like that. But when it comes to, can I do it? What'll happen to me? It's a security issue. People are afraid that if they walk away from their job and their apartment or their house or whatever, that they're not going to have a place to live, that they're going to not have any money, that they're going to become homeless, that they're going to have some horrible thing happen to them. And my message to people who want to change their life but feel that they can't because they want security is that you can still have security in the agora and in the counter-economic system. It's not the same kind, and there are some sacrifices you make, especially if you don't already have a good network, if you don't have a good connection, if you don't have a great setup to go to. But part of what I'm trying to do is to create more of a network, a system that helps people find that. It's a sort of matchmaking setup where, if you want out and you don't know where to go, well, maybe we can help you. Maybe we know where the projects are. Maybe we can place you with somebody. But in the meantime, even without that network already existing, it's possible to find it yourself. You could do all the work that I do when I'm looking for communities to go visit. Get on Fellowship for Intentional Communities or the Global Eco Village Network. Nextdoor is a great one. If you live in a local area and you're trying to stay in your area, but you want a change in lifestyle. If you're looking to go elsewhere in the world, there's all these databases of projects. And so it's through your willingness to work and your willingness to live in a little bit less of a conventional setup, like in a dorm style or in a tiny house or camping. If you're willing to do stuff like that for short term, it's not like you're going to live that way the rest of your life, but if you're willing to make that sacrifice, then you can not have to worry about all these other things like, what about this payment? What about this payment? How will I afford it? It's super cheap to do it. And a lot of communities will feed you and house you, and you won't have to have any expenses, assuming you're willing to give up your phone and all these things. And that's another issue. But I guess I'm just trying to say that it's possible to get out and still be comfortable and still have your needs met. And it's actually way more exciting, way more fun. It's a total adventure because you don't know what's going to happen, where you're going to land. You don't necessarily know what's going to happen next year. You don't have that long-term security. But I feel like you're built by changing our lives. We're building a longer-term security than even a pension or any of that stuff gives you. We're building intergenerational security. And so I really encourage people to explore options and to believe in themselves. Believe that you guys have what it takes to do this, because most of us do. And most of us would be happier if we could break some of these chains and live a little more free. So I definitely want Permagore to be a resource for people who are thinking about it, and I want to see more resources become available to people over the next few years. I think that's important work.
Welcome to TylerBloyer.com live stream on Saturday, June 3rd, 2023. Happy to be here with you guys today, and we're doing a callback and a new sort of kickoff with this Liberty Lifestyle series. We'll explain what that's all about. But the intro clip there was Eric McCool, actually from my 5th episode of what I called the series, was called Liberty Lifestyle. Just centering myself there a little bit more in the shot. And Liberty Lifestyle was done, probably in 2016, 2017-ish timeline. There was a total of about 6 or 7 episodes with some additional content that we did there. Just really interviewing people that have been living the lifestyle of liberty, as you heard from Eric there. We're going to get into a little bit more of what he's been up to and get back to something that he's been working on so we can take a look and get an update from that. Now, the other thing that I wanted to discuss, as I thought I was all well together, ready to start, and now I feel like I'm all over the place. So let me get back to my notes here. So we've been discussing fear control, climate control, creature of control, freedoms rising. Today's a little bit different. It's not just sort of a variation of freedoms rising. Today I have updates, and I want to do this, potentially the first show of each month, do an update, sort of a recap from the last month, a recap from the last week, and be able to add these shows into the mix of what I do under the title of Liberty Lifestyle, and then, updates from the week, whatever fun imagery I can come up with from the generative AI that I used on the thumbnail of this episode today was like some of the first images that I ever created using a generative AI. And it's just sort of funny. I mean, the elephant, rainbow elephant launching off the moon with rainbow exhaust is the prompt that I gave it. So it's just a little bit playing around today, with the thumbnail there. Don't take it too seriously. It's a good thing, never to take yourself too seriously. Although, it is serious business here, what we do over here at TylerBloyer.com. And that's another thing is with these new formats and the update shows, it's just presenting, updates from me, kind of keeping it real, talking about things that I know about, talking about things that I'm doing, talking about things that I'm interested in and researching at that time, providing updates on where things are at with me and the projects that I work on. And a little bit more, again, what we've been doing is more free form and a little bit more laid back, but still, also then I'll be doing presentation style episodes and even longer. Today we're going to definitely be a shorter episode. I actually have somewhere that I need to be, so we're going to cut it short today, try to keep it, within an hour here, and that'll give me time to publish things and get it all uploaded and sent out to you. And appreciate everyone who's been keeping up with these latest episodes, and we're trying to get into a new sync here on Saturdays around 9 a.m. Pacific time. Right now that's 12 p.m. Eastern, and in Arizona we don't change our clocks, so at some points that could be 11 a.m. Eastern, and then at other times, because we're aligned with Mountain Time half the year and Pacific Time half the year, it's like a different Mountain Standard Time than the typical one. I just call it Phoenix Time, or easier just using Pacific Time, where that's what we're aligned with right now. So try to go live 9 a.m. Eastern on Saturdays, and that way you can be there to watch the live show if you'd like on Odysee, where we're at right now. You can see the live feed is playing here on Odysee. If I hit live, should take us to where I'm at. There we go. I'm also on freedomsrising.live, multi-streaming over there on freedomsrising.live, and that's over on the Twitch channel for freedomsrising.live. So that way, if there's a problem with Odysee and your phone is not working or something like that, go to freedomsrising.live. You can watch the Twitch feed there, which should work a little bit better with the bandwidth as far as probably the distribution that they have there. And then there's also tylerbloyer.com /live should be, where I have the Odysee embed there as well. If you ever forget where to find the show, tylerbloyer.com, in the menu here, you can just hit live show and you'll be taken to that. And this page needs to be updated. We don't have a Discord channel. There's no call-in at the moment functionality, so I do need to update that. And then of course on the live, on the front page, you can click freedomsrising.live to get the banner to get there very easily. I've tried to make it easy. There's a big button here, watch Freedoms Rising live stream, takes you there as well. I should probably put a button for, well, I think it's good enough here. If you want to go to live, you go to tylerbloyer.com/live. It's pretty easy, and then the button will take you there as well. So those are the different methods that I'm using now. I really don't plan to go back and try to stream on Facebook or launch another YouTube channel or anything like that, really. I don't want to hang out in the internet ghettos, in the slums of the internet, where really it's just all censored and controlled, and the feeds are so selectively curated that the algorithm really doesn't adapt to you. You know, that's the thing. It adapts to the you that they want you to be, is what those algorithms do. They, you know, covering up certain information that they don't want spreading. That's not called adapting the feed to me with your algorithm. That's called manipulating me with your algorithm. You know, and that's why we also promote things like Snort.Social here, which is really on the Nostr protocol. I don't want people's eyes to go glazed over, so we're not going to start talking about Nostr too in depth here, but I still do use the Nostr protocol. I'm using Snort.Social for my desktop application, and this is basically sort of a social media concept based on public-private key exchange and encryption and algorithms and similar concepts to Bitcoin, but there's relays in the system, not nodes. So it's built to be censorship proof, but I think in the long run it's really cool because the key is tied to you and you can take it off of Snort.Social. I could create my own client. I can use my Amethyst client on my phone here. I can build, like I said, I could develop my own client with relays and send my information out there in a way that really, again, the purpose of it is so it can't be censored, and that's the way it's promoted, but really keeping your audience with you through that key pair, and being able to launch it sort of anywhere on any platform and have that feedback with all your settings sort of makes your content platform agnostic in a way that's not like tied to Twitter, or I've got to somehow import my Facebook feed over to Float and all these other things to do. Like you can just have it imported through the key and the relays that are subscribed to. I have been trying to set up the minds.com. I'll show you this really quick on the screen for the nerds out there, and then we'll get back into the show here. I do have some updates I'd like to go over, but if somebody could help me with this, I'm trying to understand how to do this properly. I'm going to actually show you a little bit of the back end of Minds, Nostr. When I put my public key and private key in here, it does not give me a signed delegation token, and I think it's supposed to be automatically generating it. It even says here, enter your public and private key below to generate a signed delegation token. And I've even opened an email with support, and they were like, oh, well, thanks for letting us know, basically. Maybe I should follow up with them, but they didn't know. I don't think they understood what I was saying, and I don't think a lot of people are using this, obviously. But I want to start using it, and I think social media platforms that adopt importing your Nostr feed and being able to update off of your Nostr feed through there is actually a really cool thing. And Minds actually has some pretty amazing technology behind it, and is not as popular as it should be, in my opinion. It has been around for a while now, and they've developed a lot of cool tools like that, like being able to import your Nostr feed into the platform itself, which something like Twitter or Facebook could easily do. Will they do that? Probably not. So again, that's where you can kind of get in touch and follow and keep a hold of what we're doing over here. The other thing is just subscribing for the newsletter, essentially, that I put out, which is really just I update you when I do something, so you don't have to, see it somewhere else. You'll just get a fresh email in your inbox of what we've just published. Typically content like this, like we're doing today, will get put into an email and sent out, and that helps to keep in touch with what I've been doing. So enough said there. Now, Eric McCool from Levolution is his newest project, is what we discussed what the opening clip there was, an old clip that he did with me on the Liberty Lifestyle podcast series. And so to get an update with what he's been doing, the Levolution Fellowship is what they've been working on. You can go and find Eric McCool on social media. He is Mr. Cool McCool. He is a badass, and this project you can read more about at thelovolutionfellowship.org. Now, the Levolution, as far as I know, was the term Ernie Hancock coined back in the Ron Paul days, and the Levolution tour and the Levolution festival, whatever you want to call it. It was this concept of like, this is the real revolution, the Levolution, right? And I love the spin. I'm sure Eric is aware of Ernie and everything like that, so he's incorporating more of the theme, kind of like Ernie Hancock's really like the mage and old. Like I'm not saying he's old; he's still young and spry, but I'm saying he's been around long enough that he's affected the freedom community in ways that people don't even understand. Even my concept of Freedom's Rising is sort of a spin-off of Ernie's concept of Freedom's Phoenix, which is, now that the Freedom's Phoenix has been reborn, Freedom's Rising is really the continuation of that process. Once we've risen from the Phoenix, we need to then, continue with Freedom's Rising. So, again, another spin-off of one of Ernie Hancockisms, the Levolution here. There's also the Levolution Fellowship Levolution Declaration of Independence, and I thought that was really good. I stumbled across this morning, just kind of putting the episode together. Figured I'd put a clip of Eric in there. I'll tag him in the post of this afterwards, so he can see that he was featured in today's episode. And again, I've got somewhere to be today, so we'll see how I can get everything out, and in that fashion, maybe tomorrow I'll be doing some follow-up. But let's just read this really quick here. I'm just going to read it without pause into the record here. This Levolution Declaration of Interdependence on the levolutionfellowship.org. It says, and this is written by Patrick James Hennessy in 2018. We hold all beings... Oh, sorry, let me start that over. We hold that all beings are interconnected within the web of life and are by nature interdependent and yet sovereign. We declare that the greater good is based on the sovereignty and free will of the individual being freely to choose their mutual and voluntary agreements. We embrace the self-evident natural law of the universe as our compass, the rights derived from such natural law, also known as universal law or God's law, and are not dependent on the laws or customs of any particular culture or government, and are universally and inalienable. Sorry, let me read that again. That's a long sentence there, though, so let me go back to the beginning. The rights derived from such natural law, also known as universal law or God's law, are not dependent on the laws or customs of any particular culture or government, and are universal and inalienable. These natural rights cannot be repealed or restrained by human laws without violating the natural law of the universe, God's law. Therefore, we reserve our God-given right to not recognize, submit, or abide to any man's laws that violate natural law and the non-violent free will of the sovereignty of individual beings. We hold true that the indwelling spirit of source energy, God, permeates all of the universe and therefore all elements of the universe, whether vast, tiny, or unseen, are to be held sacred and respected. We uphold these natural-born rights equally for all beings regardless of species, race, nationality, sexual orientation, gender, religion, or political belief. We come together as sovereign beings who are free to co-create in a spirit of volunteerism. With this freedom comes the responsibility and duty to respect the sovereignty of other beings by not violating their free will, security, or liberty. To violate the free will of others, whether we agree with their choices or not, by coercion, force of action, or manipulation, is violence, which we do not condone. We do reserve the right to protect our sovereignty, liberty, and security, and that of others in self-defense. We also honor the rights of individuals to make and honor mutual agreements that do not violate or hinder the natural rights of other beings. So you can find out more about what Mr. McCool has been up to and what they're doing at the Levolution. There's some events coming up. Let's see. And that might have already passed. There was like the initial event from this project. Fellowship Service Sunday. And I'm pretty sure they're back east somewhere. I'm not even sure. It's like in like Maine or something. I don't know. Nowhere around where I'm at. I remember that. Anyway, that's what he's been up to. So there's an update from what Eric has been working on. Someone who was I actually saw Eric out at the Jackalope Freedom Festival last year, and he walked into my camp and was kind of sitting on the corner. We had our, our mateys is what we call our campsite out there, because it's basically a bar out in the woods that we created for our vending purposes that we did at the Jackfest experiment experience. And I walked up to Eric, and I'd never met him in person even. I just did that interview with him, and it had been, like 8 years at that point. So I was like, hey man, do you like, and I looked a lot different back then. I had long hair, and he'd only seen me interview him with that long hair, and I looked different, let's just say that. So I was like, do you remember that interview? And he's like, yeah, man, of course. And we spent a lot of time, our families and the children, playing up there in Baca Meadows here in northeast Arizona, behind Heber there, up in Black Canyon. I believe it's just called Black Canyon. And anyway, yeah, so it was nice to catch up with him and get to spend some time with him and his family, and out there in Baca Meadows, one of the, it's a very beautiful place to be, spending time with friends. So that was great. Now, we're going to get into today the Liberty Lifestyle updates from the week. But first, and in those updates from the week, we're going to talk about, what I've been doing, a few events recently that we've been working on, some trips that we have planned coming up. Let me just fix this a little here. It's a little off. That's a little better. And, some updates from the Homestead here. Some updates from a potential future homestead, some gardening updates, and some other things that I've been looking into, as well as some technical things that I want to get into here today, just technical updates of things I've been looking at. And then we may play a little brief intermission clip there at some point. I'll hit a hard stop at in about an hour from now. I have a hard stop, so we're going to get through what we can. We'll hit the outro music clip that I have played today, and then we'll plan to come back next week with more content and continue on from there. So freedomsrising.live, Liberty Lifestyle, updates from the week. That's the title card you can see there. Again, playing around a little bit with the AI artwork to help me with my title slide today, and playing, just sort of having a little fun. It's nothing too serious. Like I said, don't get caught up in that. Again, you can find Freedom's Rising at freedomsrising.live. Wake up.
Wake up. Freedom's on the rise.
I gotta have more soundboard things like that for when I take a sip. What else do we got here?
They turn the friggin' frogs gay!
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, we got to work on our soundboard. We got to get it more up to date. Now, again, you can find my work as well as many other excellent content creators over at the onegreatworknetwork.com. The onegreatworknetwork.com has been ongoing, for now, a couple years, maybe a little over that, maybe not quite that, I don't know, somewhere around there. I remember way back, almost 10 years ago, I would say, Mark Passio emailing about, well, it was not 10 years ago, it was probably more like 7 or 8 years ago, emailing about starting that. And then in like 2020, when he started to put out content after Barb's passing, was asking for some assistance, and Autonomy reached out to him, and I asked Mark, hey, when are we going to get the One Great Work Network going up, man? And he's said, hey, now is probably the time. We got the help now. We have volunteers. That's when we really got a surge of some people jumping in to help. And they launched the One Great Work Network project. And you can find that at the onegreatworknetwork.com. And there's a nice little algorithm that puts random videos on the right, so you can kind of get a selection of what's out there on the site. And then there is, all the different content creators. I think there's about 70 now, which are in the One Great Work Network community. Basically, a community of people who are coming together to create the better world that we want. And they're doing it in a way that's no one's, getting a huge, large salary to put out this content. But what we do go based on is donations. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later before we close out the episode. I'll remember to touch on that aspect. It's something exciting that happened for me. But let's continue on here. Now, again, please go support the creators and check out my content as well over there at the onegreatworknetwork.com. Again, upcoming in September, which may seem sort of far away, but also at the same time, it's just coming pretty close, actually. We're already halfway through the year here. Can't believe it. We're going to head into September pretty quickly, and I would just want to promote and help attract people to come see and watch the Seed 5 Metamorphosis event. I will be, of course, handling the technical aspects of the streaming on that day and those 2 days on that weekend. This is a free online conference put together mainly by Brandon Martin, who's the organizer, and he's also on the One Great Work Network. You can find his work over there and links to his stuff. But this is a free conference about the occult, esotericism, freedom, history, philosophy, symbolism, and natural law, taking place again on September 23rd and 24th. And you can find more about that at seedtruth.com to make sure and bookmark that and catch the live links when they're available. As we, get closer to that event, those things will become more available. Again, today we're sort of hearkening back to the Liberty Lifestyle podcast theme, and what we're going to use that label for. Again, if you recognize the symbol in the middle here, this is where I came up with the modern TylerBloyer.com symbol that you can see here in my slideshow presentation on the OBS layout here. It's in black now here, but this is the original design that I helped create with my, visualization of what I wanted to have done, and I actually had a graphics artist help me with the logo. It's very simple. It's not like, oh, this graphics artist went all out. It's like very simple design. I wanted a tree standing, in front of the sun, sort of the macrocosm of what we are. We are representations of the sun, which is a representation of, the overall big picture and the life giving of the sun, and is really giving life to us as well. We are the tree here. We are part of that creative process in alignment with really the sun. The sun is our life giver. The sun in this part of the galaxy here is the thing that is doing all this. Everything that we know is really coming from that source. And so that is represented here through that macrocosm, that we are that as well. We are part of that. We are part of that creative process. We are, coming from the energy of the sun. The sun is our life giver. We are a part of it, and we are connected to everything in that way. And so that's really the symbolism here. Liberty lifestyle, of course. Again, the concept of covering, the people that are out there and doing things to promote liberty, living a life of freedom, doing things to further the efforts of teaching and spreading natural law, and actually living in accordance with those standards and principles. And also, Freedom's Rising is really a continuation of that. But today we're going to be talking about liberty lifestyle as it relates to what I'm doing. Let's just go back to the title slide. We're going to be using that name, Liberty Lifestyle, now for this series where I'm going to be doing updates mainly. So like a way more personal episode about me and what I'm doing. We might even bring on in the Liberty Lifestyle series again people in the future to talk about what they're up to and what updates that they're doing, and have a roundtable. Or I'll bring Eric back in and he can tell us about the Lovolution. So we'll get to that point. For now, we're going to be talking about today updates from the week from my neck of the woods, from what we've been working on around here, what I'm up to work towards a lifestyle of liberty myself. And it's been a process, and I'm not going to start out and say, well, I'm the perfect example of liberty in my life. But at the same time, we're doing our own unique style of what we have plans to do, and we can go on that journey together and document it here in the podcast, and be able to create content based on that concept. So we're going to get into that today, and I think that's all I had for the announcements. So the first topic for today is, again, the Liberty Lifestyle updates will be coming in this format. Today's going to be a bit messy, but I'll plan to have more of an outline as far as like topics, and then I'll hit those topics each week and we'll kind of go back over them. Today is a little bit looser, my thoughts coming out onto the notes that I take in order to make bullet points of what I want to talk about, and they're not all that organized. So we're going to try to keep you aware of when I'm transitioning to another topic and not just sort of ramble on here. But yeah, the liberty lifestyle concept, again, is not just some libertarian call for a new form of currency or something like some economic solution, or saying like if you move to a new location, then that's what makes you more free than the location that you were at before. I do think that location arbitrage as far as like cost and things is a big thing nowadays. I mean, us moving to the location that we did ended up saving a lot of money over time on things that we would normally have to pay for no matter what, like energy costs and living costs and rental costs or mortgage costs or whatever. Luckily, I've been able to work remotely in a way that I can go basically wherever I want. So we decided to stay in the Southwest because our families are all around here, and that way we can still go and visit family without too much of like flying across the whole country or flying across the world, but still be in a location that was made more economic sense for our economic situation, and a number of other things. Like again, the exit and build concept, or stand and fight, and stay there and fight tyranny where it's at, where don't run away. It's not running away isn't exiting and building. It's quit bitching, start acting. And our plan is to homestead. So we plan to, as part of our liberty lifestyle, and this doesn't have to be what everybody does, but get into a rural situation where we can have an opportunity to turn a piece of property into something that is giving back to us, giving back to our community, making us a part of that community through our efforts and through the things that we're producing. We can create abundance in that way in our lives and have a plan that makes way more sense to us as far as a longer term vision. Not that you shouldn't, focus on your finances and get things in order for your retirement in the future and have maybe investments that are going to give you gains over time. If you have the money to be able to invest, which hopefully people are, because like Eric was saying in the beginning there, like living a life full of bad debt, high interest debt, owing the banks all kinds of money, isn't exactly a lifestyle of liberty, right? So getting your financial stuff in order. And so it's not that you shouldn't have eggs in multiple baskets, or however you want to put it. You should have bets on multiple squares on the table, right? You should spread out a little bit what your plan is for the future and do the things that have traditionally worked. But also, again, our vision is really to create an environment on a homestead that starts to pay dividends as well and starts to give back. And that's more of an insurance against uncertainty of the future. Like, are we going to have bread lines in situations where we're forced into, not forced necessarily, but to feed our family, we end up having to wait in line somewhere, or we have to be told how we're going to act if we're going to get the food that the government's offering in these things. And then just the overall toxic environment in our food, and the different experiments that are going on with cloning meat and adding mRNA technology into the foods themselves and things like that. If you're not actively producing your own food, then how much of kind of Stockholm syndrome situation are you still in? That you're willing to just kind of, well, we just got to take what they give us, and even though they're poisoning us and have been, and all this food is full of glyphosate and basically called organic, but not necessarily. It's free range, but you don't really know. Our chicken's operation has given us some of the best eggs that I've ever had, fresh all the time, and I know where they're coming from. Some of the food that I give them might be a little bit on the cheap scale because things have gotten more expensive, but still, even then, the freshness of it and the lack of processing, and then the fact that I can go out and see where that food is coming from and manage it properly and make sure that they're doing okay. And they have currently, even though we're not on our homestead yet, we have this whole area out here on this side of the house. I know that those are listening to the audio can't see, but behind me in the window in this room, if the window was open, you'd be hearing scratching and pecking and other funny chicken noises, egg songs. When they lay an egg, they like to tell you about it, or before they're going to. And they make really funny noises, and they're all right outside the window. Anyways, so that's part of the solution of the liberty lifestyle as well, for us anyway. And I think actively restoring the soil and creating fertile soils, and again, deploying things like proper animal husbandry, and then being able to produce gardens and fish and other things on your property. These are all working towards solutions. It's not running away from the tyranny and from the city. Oh, you got to stay there and fight tyranny where it's at. Like, say that when you have children. Let's see how you feel then. Let's see how you feel about just letting them continue to live in that toxic environment and not knowing where the food's coming from, and if the food is getting ridiculously expensive as well. So I mean, I think that for us anyway, it makes more sense to start to produce and attempt to produce as much as we can, again, in an effort to not just be our freedom and our food and what we have, but being I think, and I know this will sound a little offensive in these modern times, but I think that's a man's job, is to overproduce for his family to a point where there's so much abundance that, yeah, you're now able to take care of more than just your little thing. Like, I got my stuff and we're taken care of. And building community, in my opinion, is that. It's building community through that abundance. Now you have a way to interact with the community that makes sense, whether it's through donations, through even exchange and barter, or trade, or just basically selling your stuff to people. We don't have to make it sound all like we live in the 1700s or something. There's plenty of farmers markets in our area where if we had an abundance of a product, tomatoes or chicken or eggs or goat's milk or any of these things, we can go and interact with the community in that way. And then people see that you're committed at that point. They see that you are invested in the community in that way. And that, is with the people that want to build community. It's like, that's how you build community. You interact with the community that's already existing around you. There's already a community, and then you can go interact with that community. We don't need to build a new community. The communities are there, and we're on our cell phones and all hung up in our head and all hung up on what we need and we need and we need, versus just like, I'm doing this, here's what I'm doing, here's the things that I'm doing. I'm holding this class, I'm holding this training thing, I'm interacting with the community through this market, I'm giving out information, I'm producing podcasts and putting out content of what we're doing. That's the building community aspect. It's not some, you've got to go and actually build the thing. Now, can you do that? Absolutely. For us, we're going to, again, have a homestead and interact with other homesteaders and help them with their things. Maybe we rent a tractor or have a tractor, and we'll let the neighbors use it that day. So while they let us, take their bull and take them over to the cow's field for a while to get some calves going, right? Things like that. So the switching topics now into the next topic, we went fishing last Monday. Happened to be the Memorial Day weekend, and I found a place where we could go fish about 20 minutes from my home here, and it was a place that was totally legit but not overcrowded on that day. A little bit of a quiet place I'm not even going to give away right now because I don't want people here getting an idea of where my place is. No, I'm just kidding. It's called Mexican Lake up here. There's a little public access area, and it's pretty, seems not very known about. And one of the main goals there was to get Vinny, my 12-year-old son, his first fish. He's never caught a fish before. We went a few times last year, and we had a pond near our home, and I was able to pull some fish out of the water. Didn't get him one. And on that day, I was really focused on setting up the kids' lines. We got some new fishing poles. Fishing gear is really inexpensive as far as just some shore fishing stuff, a tackle box. We already have a lot of the equipment, but the kids, if you know anything about small children and fishing stuff, they just tore apart last time. Like last time we went fishing, everything was broken. No problem for me. Like I said, it's a hobby that's not all that expensive to get the kids into, at least. I know you can go and spend all kinds of money on boats and fly fishing and other gear and a lot of time invested and things like that. But, I'm just talking about walking the shore and throwing some lines in, and the kids, they love it. They have a great time. And we set up Vinny. He was out there. He really wasn't paying a lot of attention. At some point, he kind of got, relaxed on the side of the beach there and hanging out in his chair. And it was kind of funny because he was on his phone, and suddenly he's pulling his line. Oh my God, I got a fish! And puts his phone down and reels it in. And it's not a massive fish or anything. It wasn't oh, he's got a 12-pounder. It wasn't it wasn't where you hold it up and it's this big. Okay, it was a little catfish, little baby catfish, or not baby, it was not very big, let's say, but still huge moment for Vinny. We got a picture, we snapped a picture. It made the trip. It was halfway through the day, right? So you're kind of getting to that point, is this gonna happen? Nobody had caught any fish. It's a really shallow shore, so yeah, you're gonna have the catfish hanging out there in the mud. It probably isn't the best fishing place in the world. We'll probably check out some other places next time. We got a place called Fool's Hollow pretty close here that I want to check out. So that was fun. And good job, Vinny, and congratulations on his first fish. And hopefully we can get a lot more this year. We have a trip, and this topic is sort of in the same vein, but we're kind of skipping now to the next topic of our trip coming up later this month. There will be a gap in my content later in June. I will definitely need to take probably 2 weekends off from June 17th to the 24th. Those 2 Saturdays will not have content produced. So we'll get an episode out next week, and if all goes well. And then I will not be doing episodes those 2 weeks, but we will come back and be ready to go again in July. So that's the goal for now, and just need that extra time. It's possible I could do something on the 17th, and it's also possible maybe next week we'll skip and then do an episode on the 17th. we're trying to do these shows weekly. We definitely need to get back in the habit of doing that consistently. And again, there's a lot of things going on, though. I'll talk about some other things that are going on right now that may, hinder content production as well. But we'll get through these little hurdles, and then we'll keep up with, again, getting back in the saddle on Saturdays, 9 a.m. around my time, and being able to put these episodes out. But we are going for Cassandra's birthday on a week-long camping trip up in near Big Lake, out here in the White Mountains, behind Springerville. There's a recreational area. There's a lot of people that go up there and camp and fish and boat and hike and hunt and have fires and day trips and things like that out there. We're going to spend some time with the camping trailer up there and enjoy getting out of the routine. And not only is there Father's Day, but Cassandra's Day is during that time. Or Cassandra's Day, it is Cassandra's Day, that's what we call it. This is actually Cassandra's month is what we call it around here. Once we hit June, we're now in Cassandra's month, and so it begins now. This is the best month of the year, right? And in her birthday week, we usually do try to take a trip and go somewhere. This time we're not going to go too far, but we are, going to be up there during that week. So just a heads up on that. Now, switching topics into the next thing. When I did start reproducing again, doing content again just recently, you saw behind me here there was some light and there was a cage and maybe some noises coming out of there. Those were the baby chicks that we got on March 15th, and they are now basically feathered and ready to go. I think they could even be fine outside at night right now, but we do now take them in and out. It looks like we're going to have 5 more hens and 1 rooster. It looks like we got a rooster that snuck in there, and they tell you that there aren't any roosters, and we've now gotten 2 since we've been doing the chicken thing. One of them's no longer around anymore. We'll just keep it at that. I might get into that story here a little bit later. Again, we're going to have to watch the time. But the little rooster, there's speckled Sussex. I got 2. And they're freaky little birds, man. I mean, they're kind of like, they don't want to be handled. There's the hen they're about, like this big now for those on the video stream. They're like as big as the microphone here. And they're little bodies, but fully feathered already. So again, once they're feathered, we don't have the light on them anymore. We took the light off about a week ago. We probably could have taken it off earlier than that. And now they get rotated outside in the big run over here with the other hens. And they're in a cage that's up against a doghouse, so they have shade, and then they can come out into the cage, basically. And they're out in the open when they're in that cage. So the other hens are checking them out, and they're really curious about how this is all going to work, and kind of asserting dominance and acting like that. But at some point, we're going to have to take the barrier off, right? We're going to have to let the interaction just begin. And so right now, they're getting a feel for each other. And there is the pecking order even without a rooster. We have out there, we know who the top hen is, right? And it's not necessarily the biggest hen, but she'll probably try to continue to assert her dominance. Now, we'll see how that works with this rooster. He so far does seem freaky, but they're like of me, and that with some chickens, they just don't like to be handled as much, like the leghorn, the white chickens. They're fine with me around, but they don't want me to come anywhere near them. And they're very good at evading, and they can fly further, and they're really smart and will jump on top of things and stuff. Some of the other chickens I could definitely go pick up pretty easily. None of them really love it. Some of them definitely don't mind it as much. Probably if you handled your chickens a lot as they were young chicks and really just pet them all the time and all these things, they probably let you get a lot closer. It's not really all that important that they do, I mean, if you got to check something out and clean them off or give them a little Epsom salt bath like that can be difficult. But, overall, I think they'll get along just fine. And if if we can get a bigger place, we definitely plan to keep the chicken operation going. Even here, we could do tons of chickens. We have a simple setup, but there's plenty of room for them right now, and we can easily expand and add additional, things in. We have automated water that requires me to, do some little bit of cleaning and maintenance once a week on the water system, but really it runs itself. So overall, the chicken experiment has gone really well. We've been doing it for a couple years now, and it's really something that I could see myself doing for quite some time. I enjoy the birds. I enjoy raising the birds and, having them around. And I think that the way that you can manage adding fertility to the soil with chickens, as well as the food scrap thing, like that's amazing. The chickens will eat just about anything you give them. You do got to watch, giving them too much of this or giving them too much of that. Obviously they don't eat a lot of breads and things. But if you do have like the leftover scrap bucket that we use, they basically, we can feed them a lot of what they eat from our scrap table, and then they eat their pellets as well. But it's really not that expensive, especially with the price of eggs and the way that the eggs are at this grocery store, just like not very good quality or really damn expensive. This is not like that, and I think we're already overproducing for what our family needs, and we've got more inbound that'll be producing here in probably like 6 months to a year or so. I don't know, it does vary with each breed or species or whatever, not species, but each flavor of bird. What's the right word? The genetics in these birds, is different per type of bird, so it depends. But really, we're just still learning a lot of that. It's a fun experience. Cassandra is much more about just doing things, and where I will like put it off forever, probably to my detriment. So we're a good combo where she'll sort of dive into something and just do it, and I'm like, oh well, I have to start like managing and helping, and then we're just doing the thing that I would have probably spent a lot of time researching and asking and talk myself out of it type stuff. And so into the next concept, but similar, we also have our gardens really getting going here. We're about finished up, I would say, with the planting this year. As far as this cycle, we'll probably have some more fall planting or midsummer cleaning and getting things ready for that fall harvest or fall crops. But what we did, since right now we were in a home, we've moved, and we know we're going to move again, because right now we're not in our permanent home. We're in somewhere where we're looking to buy a property to homestead, but we're not permanent right now. But we have these basically giant containers. I don't know, they're like 20-gallon containers that we've created a mobile garden basically, because we moved it from our last property. So the last property we had, Cassandra used these big containers quite a bit to grow things, and it worked really well. We got a lot of yield. Some plants don't do as well in the containers. The vine crops, they produce, but they're definitely, I don't think, getting their full potential coming out of those giant containers even. They're much happier in the ground directly and being able to sprawl out like that. But we were actually able, through a friend's help, who had a better truck. Our truck situation while we were moving was not that great, and the time situation was not great either. We actually had our friend Paul, thank you very much, Paul, help us bring over all those containers. And maybe I'll get some pictures and put them up, or get some video of this, but we have them all in the front yard filled up. We got some more organic soil, compost soil delivered, and made a mix of ourselves, putting manure and some other potting soil mixes together for these pots, as well as creating an additional raised bed next to the one that was here in the rental. And that's the part we got to finish, is that raised bed. We got to finish that out. But there's still lots of plants already going and setting in and really starting to take off. Tomatoes, this year we're doing tomatoes, peppers, cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, your standard stuff. There's some herbs in there. We got a few containers with herbs in them. And then I ordered these like Armenian squash things that are really cool. They're like vine squash that we're trying to plant from seed out there. And we definitely put a lot of stuff direct sow in just recently. And we plan to kind of continue that up until we go on our trip later this month of getting those things ready. I've just ordered yesterday some automation. I'm late to the game with the water drip system. We should have had that in first. But we just moved in here, and basically finally settled in fully now. And so, getting the garden going and the automation and all that is not something that I was able to do yet. But I yesterday ordered on Amazon a kit that from Rainbird. It's a simple like drip irrigation kit that I'm going to run out and automate, so that like while we're taking a trip away, that everything's still just getting watered and automated. There is a sprinkler system on this property. I could probably, go out and change the direction of some of those and get some water from just the sprinkler system that's already set up as well. But right now, like, it kind of all just misses where our plants are. The sprinklers aren't exactly set up to hit the plants where they're at, which like I said, I could probably adjust that. But I think I'll just run this Rainbird kit out to the things that we have set up to get some automation there. Highly suggested. And I highly suggest to do that before you get the garden set up, to help you with the watering so you don't forget. So that people are pretty good with getting in the habit of going out, but there's always that time when you're out with friends, or you had to get out early and go take care of some things, and that's when you would have watered, so you didn't that day. And if you do a couple of those in a week and it's hot and the plants are drying out, that will really stunt your plants, especially in this younger phase. You don't want to overwater them, but you have to keep inconsistent watering, and the automation is really going to help with that. So that's the update on our garden here. Luckily, we can take those things that we're doing, and even if we have to move mid this month, maybe we can salvage some of these plants that are transportable in these buckets mid this season. I might have said move mid this month. We're definitely not moving this month. We'll be moving, if anything, at the soonest after probably about August. But that's not for sure yet. I'll get into that here in a little bit. And that's actually my next topic, is that we found a place that is pretty remote. It's not so remote. It's next to a town, but the town is very small. The town has about 3,000 to 4,000 people in it. The area we're in now is about 5,000, but it's in a sister city situation with another 5 to 8,000 people. So really we're in an area, if you include the outskirts, there's probably 10 to 15,000 people in this area. That might be an overestimate. In this area, it's definitely way smaller, and it's further away from where we're at right now, about an hour out from where I'm sitting now. But we really like the property. It's not like 30 acres and a mule or whatever, 40 acres and a mule. It's 5 acres, which is still plenty of acreage to do the things that I've been discussing and that we're going to plan to do there. Could you have more and potentially, subdivide or have more? Yeah, there's always that. But as far as managing 5 acres, like, we don't even need to manage that 5 acre property fully. We could add a barn in. We could do some orchards or, some grape orchards and things like that. But mainly to do the main things that we want to do really only requires like a half an acre. So this is definitely like more to be able to do more with. And then out here, the desert basically just manages itself. Like, the desert is going to manage what it's doing. A lot of the property is just sitting there, doing its thing. It's doing its desert thing. It doesn't necessarily need management, but we feel like we could really restore and get some grasses growing, and possibly even some larger ruminants, hogs, or even a milking cow or some cattle, at least raising a few cattle. Or what around here people do is get larger pieces of land to keep the cattle on through leasing or purchasing large areas of land nearby your ranch or somewhere around where you can go, take care of the cattle in that way. But you can have facilities on board for health care of the animals, for keeping them, weaning them or keeping them around there while they're needing some extra attention. Or I don't know, I'm not a cattle rancher or a cowboy, but I'm just, we found a place that has a lot of potential for this, and we put in an offer. So right now, actually, there could be in my messaging inbox an update on that. I'm going to have to check it out at the end of the show because we are supposed to be getting an answer today on if they, want to counter offer our offer or if they accepted our offer. So that's exciting. Now, if it doesn't work out with this place, we are still feeling very confident that we're going to find a place that works for our family. So that's exciting. The market is cooling down a little bit around here. It's not so hot as it was over the last 3 years. We moved here to be able to then view and scout out a place what would work for us. And we've found basically the region we want to be. So that's huge. And then, and we really like it. We really like the area that we've decided that we want to be. And then, also the market is starting to get now where we can actually do this. We can actually do it and not feel like we're getting in over our heads or, getting less than we need for what our family needs and the amount of space that we need for each child to have their own room, for me to be able to have my working space, my office, my studio set up, and then also, the extra room for us to spread our wings and get into this homesteading stuff and really dive in what we kind of have set out as like our 15-year plan to really use the energy that we still have to create something for us so that as we get into those older years, we're starting to, again, get those dividends from that work that we're able to put in now and enjoy that with the grandchildren, enjoy that with the family that creates an environment of abundance, again, things that we can trust and know where they're coming from. And so that's really exciting. We feel like we're like on the edge of being able to get in to that thing that we've finally been trying to do. We haven't been taking too much time off of like actually doing the practicing propagation, practicing sprouting our own seeds, being able to, take a seed to a full mature plant. That's something we continue to practice every year. We're getting better at those things. We're implementing, the livestock already we have going. So we're getting, we're not like waiting until one day we're going to be able to do these things. Like we are in motion. Now we just need somewhere to, be able to be for a while to really get these projects going and not, always this like future thing that we're going to do. So right now, trying not to get our hopes up too much, but we do have some things in the fire that we're hoping develop into something good there for our family. So that's really exciting. On another note, I've sunk about $4,500 into vehicle repairs in just the past month, which is a lot. My truck that I drive, for me, there's the family car. The truck I have is a 23-year-old truck at this point that I bought for $6,000 about 8 years ago. It's been a great truck. It's my Tundra. Toyota Tundras will run forever, it seems like. Other things are going to start falling apart before the engine does. It really has like a 280,000 miles on it, so not too bad, but it's definitely getting up there. It needed a lot of work, so we got it in. We got the work done on it. That was a nice chunk. And then we took the family car in, the Denali. We bought that after I totaled Cassandra's car on the freeway back like 6-7 years ago. And but luckily, both vehicles totally paid off. I love the fact that we're riding on 2 paid off vehicles and we can do that. So having to invest in some repairs obviously is well worth it to have these vehicles, having some failover. We don't just have one, we have 2. That way we can have some fault tolerance or again, just some backups. If we need to do repairs on a vehicle, we have another vehicle, other things like that. So happy to do it, but wow, yeah, the prices on things are going up. Labor is going up, obviously, way up. And so that feels good to go dump a bunch of money into your vehicles like that. And I'm joking, but not. Like it actually does feel good to be able to do that and get the vehicles, making sure they're running safe and well for the family, because here where we're at, there is a lot of driving around. There is a lot of open land and open areas, and the roads get pretty rough. And you're out not in like downtown. You can just call the cab driver, the taxi driver, even the repair truck or the tow vehicle. Now you can get those things. It's just different. It works different when you're a little bit more rural. Things take more time, and so again, I'm happy to do it, but yeah, the budget isn't as happy to do it. But yeah, you gotta, again, we had set aside money for that. We knew that was coming. We didn't have to go into debt to have the vehicles repaired. We were able to plan ahead and be able to pay for that ourselves. So again, setting aside finances for things like that are going to come up. Eventually, you just make the savings account or a separate area where you're putting that money that is going to need to go to those repairs anyway. We're not going to get too much into financial advice here on TylerBloyer.com, but we have done really well at taking control of our finances over the last few years. There were some issues, some habitual problems, a lot on my part, even over the last before 2020, I would say. And I don't mean like habitual, like some drug abuse problem or something. I mean just like a tendency to spend, a tendency to say, well, we need this, so let's get it, and we can use the credit card. Hey, we're on vacation, and we can pay this off as we go. Like that's how you end up getting and building up the credit cards. And a lot of my debt was also from previous entrepreneurial endeavors that just sort of carried over from each sort of, failed project to failed project. And you started to build up a little debt in each one of those, and they start to kind of, and they're learning experiences. A lot of the stuff I was trying to do were lifestyle businesses to help create a more, liberty lifestyle, essentially businesses that are online, that are less hands-on. Some of the stuff that I didn't work out, and that's okay. It's okay to not have everything work out. Sometimes you're learning. Sometimes that learning can be pretty expensive, But I'd rather have taken the route I took than go into like some massive amount of debt in student loans or something and just have a degree from that. We'll get into those things more in the future on Liberty Lifestyle. But now that I see the time, what I'm going to do is go through the technical updates and then actually go into my outro commentary and the outro clip for the show, because I have things I want to do today that I need to get to, so we're going to keep it a little bit shorter today. So really quick, on the technical side, I'm going to keep investigating this, but I think that I'm already basically headed this way. Now, there might be some snags that stop me from going this way, because I don't want to invest the amount of time that it's going to take to do this, but I plan to. If you're familiar with my work over the last couple of years, I had been creating this Within the Stones Media Network school called Within the Stones Throw. The course was called that anyway, because it was a course on how we can get from where you are to how you want to be and overcome the technical hurdles to get there. It's within a stone throw, right? It's not very far away. We just need to get you the tools that you need, like how maybe, if you're interested in producing some live content like I do here with multicam on OBS and not make it too difficult for yourself, but you are not the type of person that knows how to do that stuff, so it is like this big technical hurdle to get to for you, then I'm creating the videos and have created a lot of content on how to do that. Now, I was using an app that was quite expensive and that I hadn't had a lot of return because obviously it was new and I hadn't, there wasn't a massive amount of people signing up and paying for this course that I was building. We had the free course. Anyway, I didn't want to renew the online platform that I was using, but I've been researching how to get this stuff back up and available to people, because I do have people that reach out to me and they want assistance with ABCD, and I've already covered it in the content that I've already created in these more like training modules, but they're on my like Drive account and I have to like share them over and they have to download. So, and I don't want to put in a bunch of effort to putting them somewhere that's not going to work out. So my thoughts on this are a membership platform through Odysee on the library protocol, where I can put that content on a channel that's probably like Within the Stones channel, and then I'll promote that, and there'll be a membership that you can do on Odysee to have access to that content. So simple, and then we'll have free content versions as well on that channel. And I probably will not mix that with my primary channel, and we'll basically, I have to read more about it. Maybe there's a way I can do it on the primary channel without like mixing all my videos into the feed, because I don't want my Odysee feed to have like all the training videos mixed in with my content. but I do want to be able to point to it. So if Odysee has a way that I can kind of keep them hidden, otherwise I'll just do a channel. And the reason why I want to do on the library protocol is because I can then one day potentially develop my own client to access that same content, and that way it'll already be uploaded to the library protocol, and the link should be the same. And so if I developed, let's say, like a Within the Stones client that I could use to access the content and then have the membership through that, and then that way people can also support my work through signing up for the training videos. And I'll even do custom videos for people at that point. If they say, hey, Tyler, I need help with this. Can you help me with this? I can create content around what that is and put it on there. And then that way, if somebody ever asks that question again, now I've already covered it. Oh, hey, here it is in this training series that I've already laid out. And a lot of the time, that's just supplemental anyway, because they might still need additional assistance. But that's the idea, is to provide value through free courses as well as some paid, because we do need to have a return to be able to keep the operations going here. And that will be a way that I can do it in a separate channel platform. If you've watched a lot of what I do, I don't like to promote and ask for money and try to sell you stuff. And that's my big goal here, is to make sure I can make a living off the people that watch my content. Can we do better, though, at promoting this work? Can we do better at implementing some of the techniques that I'm already even aware of on how to grow a channel like this, So part of that will be, the thing that I don't really totally enjoy doing is like the interview stuff. And it's not that I'm not interested in what other people have to say, but the work that I've done has typically been like me doing the work and not having just, someone else comes in and my channel blows up because they have a lot of people. Like, I don't know, it's not cheating. That's a technique that people use. But I think doing that is a way to help, keep sustaining what I'm doing. I can't just be talking endlessly to no one, and there's no return on this project. And so it ends up kind of fizzling out in some way. I don't think that'll happen, but just need to get some of those fundamental things in place. Okay, so the other technical update, I was going to talk about radio. I have been using the GMRS system in my local area a lot more with this little handheld. I also, just real quick, use a RTL SDR dongle to access Airspeed, which is just a program. And now people are like, what the hell is he talking about all of a sudden? This is a receiver. I have these antenna blades back here behind. You can't see them, but they're back behind that GoPro. There's two antennas, and they pick up the frequencies around here, the radio frequencies, and I can go and listen to different frequencies in my local area. Now, in my area, this is a little bit more important. Now, this is just listening. I can't transmit on this, and in fact, to transmit over GMRS with digital DMR is, I think, against the rules, right? All this stuff's really heavily regulated. But in my area, you end up traveling around in between places where this is your only communication tool. I've been in situations where I needed to communicate and I couldn't because the cell phone service was out. And that's when I realized how important it is to need to be able to understand how to use these. And I got my ham radio license actually a year and a half or so ago. And I have not set up like a ham radio base station and antennas and a mobile station in my car and gotten into the ham stuff too much. But the GMRS and the community around the GMRS is really pretty strong around my area. And the guys that operate the repeaters and meet up locally really, are sort of our type of people. Like me and Cassandra have met some really cool people through me getting into radio. And so that's just sort of a technical thing. Like out on the Homestead where where we put this offer in, it's pretty rural, like I said. And so I've actually ordered Cassandra her handheld. I'll program it for her so that she has the ability to communicate with not only me, but through the repeater system. And then she can just keep that with her in the car. We'll put it in the Yukon in the back and just store it away just in case, there's ever a problem. And otherwise, for me, just being the technical nerd that I am, this is just a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun, using this waterfall feature is what they call this here, the waterfall. and just listening to the various things that are going on around me. It's another way to be aware of what's happening around you. And again, in where I live, there's a need for this. It isn't just some prepper shit and weird guys that think the EMP is gonna come soon and knock everything out. Now, in my opinion, that might be a good thing if that does happen. Maybe that's the great reset we really need, right? But I had a few more things. We'll probably can those items that I wanted to talk about for next time. That's my update on the radio stuff. I did actually successfully communicate on the GMRS repeater with the folks that I had been trying to get this radio to work with recently. And so now I'm able to do, the communication needed if there is an emergency, or just help people, do their radio checks. Or the other day I was out in a pretty rural area with the dogs hiking, and I can test my radio out there and see how it goes. So that if we are me and my dogs go hiking a lot alone, I'm not with anyone out there. And, dogs aren't gonna, it's not like Lassie's gonna run home and tell mom that I broke my leg when we're like 20 minutes away in some rural part of the national forest out there, right? So I need a way to be able to communicate. Maybe my phone breaks and I fall on it, or there's just no service. And so that's another reason as well. Is like when you're out, it's a responsible thing to do, really. If you're going to break down your vehicle out in the woods or something and you need someone to help and come pick you up or something like that, right? So, something that I think people should be getting into. I don't like to say we should or you should, but it's not that difficult to buy one of those dongles. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. And set up that, at least just starting to listen. You don't even need a license or anything to listen and see how it works. And you learn a lot just from listening to the people on the radio about, what people in your area are up to, what kind of stuff they're into, how they got their stuff to work. A lot of the time it's just technical troubleshooting, and that communication is empowering. It's your ability to communicate what you might need at some point through those airwaves and or help other people. That's the other big thing too. Be there as someone who can help those people through. So today we are going to wrap it up. I have things I need to get to again, so we're not going to do a 3-hour long show on updates today. We've gone over an hour on this show. I think that's pretty good for an updates show. I think that I like the way that it went. It feels a little weird to talk about these things, honestly, but this is more like the real me. This is the stuff that I'm currently looking into. This is the stuff that I'm interested in. So like, what more of a real content can I put on tylerbloyer.com under my own name than like the stuff that I'm working on? And we are going to continue on with the Freedoms Rising stuff that we did from last week, and the Creature of Control, and Liberty Lifestyle updates like this. And like I said, if this home closes, let's say, that's going to cause a lot of turbulence to be able to put out this content. But maybe we can just, at that point, I'll just be doing those updates shows. We'll let you know how it goes until I can get to the point where each week, Saturday comes up quick, and slide decks and having everything. And, sometimes maybe I don't need to do as much production value. Oh, it has to look and sound and all the pieces have to be... I think it would be interesting one day if I just sat down with a blank notepad in front of me and see what happens. I'd probably freeze up and like, I'm here, because I'm like, so I have to have the notes and the guide, and that's it for today, folks. We'll see you. Like, I wouldn't know what to say, but that probably isn't true. That's actually probably not true. And the idea of just like going off the top, with a little bit of outline and structure, is probably a better idea. But we're going to skip the intermission today even. I had a Greg Reese that I was going to play. But I think it's been a good updates show. I have a lot going on right now, like I said, so we'll see how this next couple months go. Now, if this home offer doesn't go through today, then that's going to change things, and we might just be still waiting even into the fall or winter, still looking. So we're not, desperately trying to dive into something. We're trying to find that thing that works. But things can move quick. If this moves along, we'll see what happens. So maybe I'll get another updates show in on July 1st on that Saturday that's coming up in about a month. Like I said, if we can do these around the beginning of the month, that seems to make sense. It's sort of like a recap of the last month, plans for the future in the next month, and we'll go from there. So with that said, I think that people who are working on their entrepreneurship projects in the modern day, if I had to summarize without knowing anything about what you're working on, because I don't, who is listening to this and what their entrepreneur endeavor might be. And there's nothing wrong with having a job and working a job, and you can even treat that as sort of an entrepreneurial endeavor. It's more about the mindset and how you look at that situation, really. It's more about like what we said before, like the difference between a slave and a prisoner. And it's really sort of the mindset of the worker, and, do they feel trapped because of the way that they've sort of entrenched themselves into that mostly mental situation. But sometimes you actually do get into a situation where you're trapped, like you are more trapped. So, building a lifestyle of freedom also involves like thinking fault tolerance and redundancy, and what happens if this happens, then I'll do this, or I'm not going to sacrifice my rights and my bodily autonomy because of this person telling me I have to do A, B, C, D. Like, that will never happen. So I will always have that backup plan. Now, if you're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do and I might have to, then that mindset is going to be, you probably will be way more likely to do something, that puts you in a situation of being, forced, quote unquote, to do something. When more, it's always voluntary. It always is your voluntary decision on what you're going to do. If you're a voluntarist, you're basically just saying, 1 + 1 is 2. Like, you're right. Everything is voluntary. Even people that want to be slaves are doing it voluntarily in the modern day. It's voluntary servitude. Well, that's not right. It isn't right. It isn't right, and they don't have the right to enforce that on you and create that worldview to where now you're being coerced to live underneath that tyranny, right? That's the problem with the slaves of the modern day, is that they want everyone to be a part of that slave system. But anyway, what I would give advice to, back to the entrepreneurs out there, and this is to myself as well, content creation is probably your biggest hurdle. You need a platform, and you need to be able to create content. And it can be YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Facebook or whatever thing, Instagram, Odysee. But the content production, there's so much of a limiting factor here is most likely getting caught up in like, oh, how does that sound and what am I going to look like and how would I do that, versus just like getting in the motion of doing it. You got to get over the fact that it needs to be done. It's not something that you're going to get around. That you have to just do it, and you need to be skilled enough to be able to at least just do it, and then over time you will add to the skill set and it will get better. But in the modern world, the way that we get our ideas out there, the way that we're going to get our products out there, the way that we're going to get freedom out there, the way that freedom's rising is going to happen is through content creation. Your entrepreneurial endeavor is going to benefit from your platforms, your ability to platform yourself, like I do on a website where I'm platforming myself. I don't care about YouTube or the platform that I'm on. I'm building a platform myself. Now, have I made this into some massive success with tons of views? Like, I think I have like 30 subscribers on Odysee or something. No, it's more than that, but I've gone a little bit of a different path with things. This isn't my income. What I'm doing here is actually what I want to be doing with my extra time, is being able to help other people achieve their goals with content and content creation. Not only that, and you'll see that with the coursework that we do and the things that we do in the future that we've already done, but now just need to sort of be revitalized, repositioned. But also, the liberty lifestyle aspect, helping you to reach your lifestyle of liberty and be able to show you an example of someone doing that as well. Not just saying we need and we should while I'm like in my little apartment in the city, not helping exit and build. I'm still bitching, not building. Well, we need to quit bitching and start building, and so that's the other thing, that this liberty lifestyle and the content will continue to show what we're actually doing with the things in our own life to contribute to that. So, you can always work on your craft, and you can always start fresh too. Like if you're in the process of that content creation, it's just not working, there's other angles that you can do as well, like other things you can do that aren't necessarily the thing maybe that you're having such a hard time with, and still be able to produce the content to promote your brand, to promote what your goals are and what you're trying to do, and find your audience or find your customers. Maybe it just needs to be shaken up a little bit. And I got something today that I woke up and I'm getting ready. I come in my office, I sit down to start to get ready to do the show. I open up my email and there's a donation sitting in there, a very rare thing, for people to support what I'm doing here in that way. And I'm not, again, in this for the money anyway, what I'm doing here, creating this content. But to see someone actually take the time to go and actually manually went through my donation process and submitted a donation, and it's not like a couple bucks either. It's like a significant amount. I don't know the person. I don't recognize their name. I want to say, thank you very much for doing that if you're seeing this, and that it does mean a lot, and it means a lot to me, and that is going to go towards the endeavors here that we do, and it'll stay in that flow of the content creation. It'll help with the things and that we're working on. So basically, it's just surprising. I mean, I'm kind of like, really can't believe it that somebody took the time to do that today. It's not that I've never received donations before. It's just rare. And it's not, again, like I'm doing this so I get donations, but it is like this sort of helps keep you going. Like it puts a little fuel in the tank to see like somebody actually cared enough, not just to like the link or whatever, to say good job or whatever, but like takes the time to go the extra step. That's really big. It's something I don't really get a lot of with my content, even in my so-called like community. Like I'm just sort of ignored on the side. Like I don't really understand that. I support my colleagues' work when they put out work, even if I haven't even listened to it yet. Like you're my friend, you're my colleague. When I see you put something out, not a lot of reciprocation on that front for me. With even, like I said, the own community. I mean, just a like and a share once in a great while would be helpful. Again, I can always improve. I can always get better. We're going to continue to try to do that. We're not bitching here either about the community not liking and sharing my content. What I'm doing is saying I really appreciate the person who donated, and that was a big boost in my step today, and something I'm going to reflect on it and how much I appreciate that. And again, it just kind of, it's an affirmation of, hey, you can keep going with this and build some steam, and it's worthwhile endeavor. I'm sure that maybe that person actually got a little bit of value about the Freedoms Rising episode last week. I felt like that was actually one of the best pieces of content that I've produced, and it came together within that week span, and it's been a lot of effort to build up the concept of Freedoms Rising, or to do that podcast series that we did, and to keep the 24/7 live stream going. And that, again, it just helps when I felt like it was one of the better pieces of content that I had put out there. And anyway, I'm going to leave it there. We're going to go in today's exiting clip. This is Natalie Rise, who I've used before in the Freedoms Rising. Her music is really powerful to me. I think it fits in with today's episode. It's called This World with Kabaka, who's featured on that song with Natalie. It's a little bit more upbeat, something to exit out and close us out here with. So again, thank you for participating today and being involved in watching this production if you watched live. Otherwise, you'll catch the replay. I'll get this feed sent out and through the audio feeds in the email, and we'll see y'all next time. Have a good one.
What's going on in this world? It's like something is wrong in this world. From the moment you're born, yeah, you gotta be strong if you wanna live long in this world. So we're moving on in this world. Unity strong in this world. Give it our all till we weather the storm, cause we know we belong in this world. You have to solid as a rock and a fit tougher than mahogany. If you want to be free, you're not stuck in a no colony. believe me land. Me tradition and me culture automatically. Rastafari teach you unity and solidarity. Love for everyone embedded in my personality. Even though them want us split the care just like a cavity, we still a come together no matter we nationality.
Yeah, despite their economy and their verbal monotony, we're still seeking their sovereignty while resisting their fuckery. Stick with our liberty, our real responsibility to create possibilities that reclaim our autonomy. Looking across at the seas, citizens under debris, left to be wounded by war, refugees, victims of greed. All of the talk in the world never resulted in peace. Governments watching applaud while the community
What's going on in this world? It's like something is wrong in this world. From the moment you're born, yeah, you gotta be strong if you wanna live long in this world.
So we're moving on in this world. The unit is strong in this world. Give it our all till we weather the storm, cause we know we belong in this world. Yeah, we're singing up till we unite every nation. To all of the lion hearts, we give thanks for the inspiration. See the courage and bravery lifting us out of slavery, make it easier to rise in this occasion. Rise up, we gon' do what we gotta do. Educate our own children and grow our own food. Yeah, to stay in that hustle, you gotta give it some muscle. And when it feel like a puzzle, we help each other through.
So we can live in love and unity in the community. Growing you them suitably, showing them what duty be. Everybody have a purpose, knowing what them duty be. Nowadays it coming like them ideas are new to we. Babylon system is abusing the populace and the smartphones they using them, watching us and the music we popular. Them infuse it with Dracula, vernacular, and if you're not them stop you like a mafia. What's going on in this world? It's like something